Hello, everybody. Welcome in to yet another edition of Unnecessary Wagers Feast Week edition. Nick, how you doing? I think you got something to tell everybody.
Yep. Uh, sorry about that. Yes, I do. For this show, uh, where is it? All right, I got the ad read right here. All right. So, um, what's the show? Unnecessary Wagers is powered by Novig, America's #1 sports prediction market, available right now in 35 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and New York. On Novig, you're 10 times more likely to win long term compared to a traditional sports book because you're playing against real users and not the house. Sign up today and use promo code ETB Network for exclusive bonuses. All right.
All right. So, like I said at the start, we are getting now into the real end of it. It is Feast Week. It is the best week. I think you would agree. This is the best weekend combined sports weekend of the year. For a whole week, honestly, if you look at everything, I mean, for gamblers right now, this is as much as I have live right now, college basketball.
Yeah.
That's what kind of week this is. This is the best week of the year, in my opinion.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily the best week of the year sports wise, but it is the best week of the year sports gambling wise, is how I
Mm,
would put it.
that's what I'm
Um,
talking about.
yeah, so yeah, just from a gambling, like the best weekend sports wise would be like when college football, NFL, and the World Series are all going on at once. I
Right.
would say that might, like, from a sports fan's perspective, that's the best time. But yeah, I agree. From a gambling perspective, this is the best time. And like during the regular season of college basketball, I have no interest in watching it other than gambling.
Right. Well, it's the same thing. Well, I would argue Feast Week is better because it's not only college football; it's rivalry week, which
No,
is the
no,
best
you're
way.
right.
Um,
No, no, look, from my perspective, yes, because rivalry week is so great in college football. But yeah, no, I think you, yeah. I think you make a fair point.
so let's get into a little recap. I was 7-5-1, Ope 617 units. Nick, not a very good week. Nick
Yeah,
was 3-10, down 30 units. So he is now up on a total up 30.94 units. I am up 80, or I am up 130.17 units. So I've opened up a large lead
yeah.
now. Tough week. And you went 1-6 in NFL. You're one hit by half a point. You did get good on that. But yeah, I mean, tough weekend. None of us really did good. I mean, I did about 500. Um, there was a lot of. I guess it was a tough board this weekend.
Yeah. Well, look, last week when I was in Vegas, my college picks were amazing. With the bets that I actually put real money on, not just on this show, I went 3 for 12 this past Saturday after going 10 for 11 last week
Hmm.
in Vegas.
That's how it
Uh,
happened. That's how it goes, though.
well, of course, you're always going to come back down to earth. Nobody look. If I could average all that out, that's still a pretty good winning percentage.
Right.
That's still
Right.
13 for 23. That's breaking a profit.
Mhm.
So it's not terrible. But yeah, you go up and then you go. I went up and then way down.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. I mean, I wasn't a board that I was in love with in the first place. Um, I did hit a big parlay um, on Sunday, which I was happy about, but it was overall wasn't the greatest board. I missed my first two picks. I don't know, maybe you weren't on the show last week. I do so, but I had my first two picks was the over in the Jet game, Baltimore game, and then my second pick I doubled down and I went over 2.5 touchdowns scored in the first half, and it was 7-3 at halftime. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that was look, the Jets actually played the Ravens a lot tougher than I thought they would. Like, I get that they lost by 13 points, but like if Brees Hall doesn't fumble right at the goal line, like the Jets actually have a shot to win that game.
yeah, I think it was more an indictment on the Ravens than it was anything else. The Ravens look terrible. I think Lamar Jackson is very obviously hurt still.
There were so many plays. Like there were quite a few plays where he wasn't even involved. Like I remember there was a 4th and 1 where the Ravens ended up getting it, but they didn't even use him to go to try to move 1 yard. He just stood in the back for like 2 plays in a row. Like I just don't think he looks right.
Yeah, he hasn't looked great. I was also on Detroit, who didn't cover. I mean, that was a game right now where the Giants are 2-10. If the games were 5 minutes shorter, the Giants would be 6-6. They've blown 4 games in the last few minutes. This one I thought was exceptionally bad considering the play calling. They were at a second and goal from the 3-yard line. Detroit had just used a timeout. There was about 3 minutes left, and they threw the ball for an incomplete pass. That was the first transgression. Then the second one was they went for it on 4th down. That kept it at a 3-point game. And you knew that the Lions were going to come down and tie the game. And the Lions then won. Jahmyr Gibbs had a great game. Also, the Giants didn't have their best run stopper on the field when the guy Jahmyr Gibbs already had 150 yards in the game, scored a touchdown. But the Lions did not cover. I mean, the Lions didn't look great. I'll get into that when we pick the games. I mean, this is probably as wide open a year as we've seen.
Yeah, because all the best teams in the NFL don't look good. I mean,
right. Maybe barring the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams are the only exception. Like they're the only team that has consistently looked really, really good. I mean, even if you look at the 8-3 Eagles, it's like they don't even look right. I mean, they're winning games, but they don't look right. And you look at a team like the Chiefs, well, they're a half a game above 500. Like if you look at all the top teams, all the contenders, none of them look good. You can have a case for any one of them to not be good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, the Rams are the only one that I really think consistently looks good. I mean, maybe the only other examples might be maybe Seattle, you can argue, consistently looks good.
And Seattle probably should have won that game last week too.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Maybe Seattle, you can argue, but
And the game on Sunday, Seattle, I had a winner. I had Tennessee as my 3-point play, but that really wasn't a 6-point game. Tennessee did a lot at the end. It was 23-3 at one point to Seattle. We'll talk about that for a sec. So as I was saying, and you knew this, I had a parlay that won big at the end. Now, as you know, from times just spending time with me, there will be times where I bet on the Cowboys, but we'll still be actively rooting against them. This was as loud as I've ever screamed in my life for the Cowboys.
Well, you hate the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Right, but I normally would prefer Philly win than the Cowboys. But this was, I mean, I was screaming like a nut on the Xavier Gibson fumble. But so let's talk about that for a sec. So the Eagles, I mean, I don't know if you watched the full entire game, but the Eagles' 21-0 lead was a little fugace in the first place. They gotten a very lucky call on a roughing the punter. They had gotten a couple of big turnovers. But the Eagles were up 21-0. They completely stalled out after that. Dallas made every single mistake you could make in the first half. Philly made every single mistake you could make in the second half, especially the fourth quarter. Saquon Barkley, who, by the way, and I know this might sound like a maybe salty Giant fan, and they did win a Super Bowl because of him last year. So that's what Saquon Barkley's been a non-factor this year for the Philadelphia Eagles, and especially the game yesterday. And that's one of the biggest problems when they're talking about Kevin Patullo calling plays. Well, they can't run the ball. Yeah. So it's tougher to call plays, but he had a bad fumble. It was I guess the Giants and the Jets both showed up because then the Cowboys punted it. Xavier Gibson, first of all, shouldn't have even fielded the ball. Ran around trying to get extra yards in his own territory, fumbled, which is the exact reason that he's on the Eagles right now.
Because ironically,
he gave the Pittsburgh game. The crazy part is then Dallas didn't even score on that possession. They got the ball inside the 10 and didn't score. CeeDee Lamb, he only drops balls against the Eagles.
Yeah, it seems like it.
He crazy fatigue. Their play calling wasn't great. It was the best game of the day. I mean, it was unbelievable. Even the last drive, Jake Ferguson fumbled, but the ball went out of bounds by about an inch just went out of the grasp of the Cooper regime. But that was the game of the week. I mean, it really saved the 4 o'clock window because the 4 o'clock window wasn't great. But Jacksonville, Arizona had a good ending, but it's like both those teams are not like that fun to watch.
I
But it was
actually
a
thought
good
that
game.
game was pretty fun to watch, but I had the Cardinals were my money line pick for last week,
Right.
and unfortunately in both of my pools I had the Cardinals plus 2.5 and not 3.5. Although I think I put actual real money on the Cardinals plus 3.5, so I won that bet. Um, but yeah, the Eagles Cowboys game was a really weird game. And I actually really like Dallas to cover in that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Dallas is like they're a below average team, but sometimes they show up for these really big games.
Yeah.
And it was also just a very it was also just a very weird game. Like what happened with that kickoff and like it apparently hit something.
Yeah. No, it didn't. They called something else, but the announcers thought
Oh,
that
that's right. That's right.
they
Yeah, yeah.
called the 10-yard penalty on Philadelphia. But you talk about, I mean, two of the better kickers in the NFL are Aubrey and Jake Elliott. They both missed kicks in the second half. Um, I think that have been complete level. We won't know till the end of the season, but it looks good. Our take that this team is very reminiscent of the 2023 Eagles.
Yeah.
And they just, I think that a little bit was taking their foot off the pedal, but they just couldn't move. Which you have to give the Cowboys credit, especially they've been bolstered with their run defense by Williams a lot.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Williams
Well,
looks great.
the thing is, their defense was so bad that any addition would make it seem a lot better. So that definitely helped them for sure. But like this Cowboys defense is one of the worst. It's a historically bad defense.
Yeah,
You know how the best defenses ever have nicknames. If it was the other way around, this would be a nickname defense.
yeah, and Philadelphia was just constantly hampered by just stupid penalties over and over again. Especially on the last drive, I think it was the one that Jake Elliott missed the field goal. They got a big first down and they got called for a hands to the face by the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
They committed a lot of stupid penalties, as did the Cowboys. There was flags all over the place, but that was the best game. That parlay hit though. Think about this: how close this was to like the odds of this hitting. The Lions needed to win. They were down 10 with like 9 minutes left. The Chiefs needed to win. I actually had given up on the parlay at one point because the Chiefs just looked like there was no chance they were going to win the game.
Yeah.
And they come back. I mean, that was another thing. Like Indianapolis, sort of similar to Philadelphia, just did nothing with a lead.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor was a non-factor yesterday too. He really didn't do much.
Yeah, yeah. When Jonathan Taylor's a non-factor, I mean, the Colts don't have much of a shot at winning. I mean,
So the odds at one point that the Lions, Cowboys, and Chiefs would have all won that game was probably astronomical. And then I also had the Browns and the Falcons. But yeah, that was one of the crazier games. I mean, it's getting into it now, which I'm sure we'll get into with the picks. It's getting into a lot. And then just quick recap on the college. There really wasn't much of a shakeup. There won't be much of a shakeup with the standings or with the rankings. There really wasn't much. We both lost the biggest heartbreaker for us was the Missouri pick plus 7.5. Yeah. Missouri's down 11 in the fourth quarter, and they had a touchdown. The guy, it hit his hands, and he just dropped it on fourth down, which was a brutal beat. But other than that, it really wasn't much. I mean, Notre Dame just absolutely destroying Syracuse. But there really wasn't a ton that shook things up. I do think there will be a lot that shakes things up. This weekend, which we'll get into. So
also our my Florida pick wasn't good. Or did I pick Florida? Or I don't know. Remember? I did pick Florida. Okay, yeah, because I know I picked it on Forever Power 5, and I put real money on Florida, but that was just rough.
Yeah, they got killed.
I also had Maryland, and that was rough too.
Yeah, and you well, you had also you split USC had USC, but then you also had the over.
Yeah,
so you split those picks on this show. But that was So I mean, I think you're right about like USC is just the USC will be very good next year. They're just not quite there yet.
And even now, I think they're a pretty good team, but they're just not winning their biggest test of like when they're tested, they're not winning any of these games. I didn't think they would beat Oregon, but I thought they would at least like keep it within 10.5 points.
Right. Right. Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into the picks as we go into Feast Week, best week of the year, rivalry weekend. Let's start in college. 1 unit play. I'm gonna take the big game, the game. First half, I'm going with Ohio State. First half, laying 5. Ohio State, I think this is, as much as it has to do with Ohio State is going to make the playoffs, obviously, no matter what happens. But Ohio State, this is a must win for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Because they just cannot. I think that Ohio State fans are more concerned about this than they were concerned about winning the national title. They cannot beat Michigan. They've struggled with Michigan all year long. All decade long.
Well, that's not totally. I wouldn't say all decade. Well, if you count the 2020 decade.
Yeah,
Okay.
5. They've lost all 5 in this decade. They've. I think Ohio State's going to win. I think Ohio State's going to win quite easily. I don't love the 10 because I just am scared of a backdoor by Michigan if Ohio State's up big. And these games do sort of run closer, no matter really the record of the teams. So I'm just going to take them first half because I think they're going to come out and sort of punch Michigan in the mouth. Sort of, I mean, this was in Ohio, but sort of like they did in 2019. Was it 2019 or 2018 where they just absolutely destroyed Michigan?
That was 2018.
Yeah, 2018.
Or maybe 2019. No,
It was
2019 they definitely beat Michigan, and then in 2020 they didn't play, and then in 2021 that's when Michigan finally won.
Yeah, so I whatever right before COVID they killed them. I think it's gonna be reminiscent of that. So I think Ohio State's gonna come out, punch them in the mouth early. So give me the Buckeyes first half.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. I didn't end up picking this game because the line last night kept fluctuating between 9.5 and 10.5. And I just like if the line goes up or down 1 point there, like I could see this being a 10-point game.
Yeah.
So like a 10 and 9.5 and 10.5, I just couldn't pick it because
that's why I don't love I didn't love the full line.
Yeah, and it's also Ohio State is a little banged up. Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate have not totally been healthy all year. And also Ohio State hasn't really played anybody. So this is going to be a pretty this is going to be maybe their biggest test of the season.
Oh, it is the biggest test of the season, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because they played Texas at home. So
right. So okay, Texas was the best team that they played.
Right, but and that was also a home game though.
Right. It was a home game. It was week 1. It wasn't a rivalry game. And these games are always kind of close. Like last year, the fact that Michigan beat Ohio State, I mean, that was so like,
right.
That made no sense at all because like that Ohio State was the most talented team in the country. And Michigan had like the worst team they had in the past decade.
It was in Ohio.
And it was and it was a home game for Ohio State. Like they were like 3 touchdown favorites. But I think, like I said, these games tend to be close. So the 10.5, I just didn't like. I didn't want to pick it either way. All right, so my 1 unit pick, I am taking Florida State plus 1.5 against Florida. Florida absolutely sucks. I don't have any faith in them at all. I think I just want to see if the line changed at all. Because I don't think it has. It was 1.5 when I picked it last night. It may have changed. Yeah, it's not showing up on. Wait, yeah, it should still be 1.5. Hold on a second. I got it right. Oh, what a pain in the ass this is. Whatever. It should still be 1.5. I mean, I think Florida State's going to win outright anyway. But yeah, 1.5. Yeah, it's still 1.5. I like Florida State. Florida sucks. They've been their offense is just totally dysfunctional. I think Florida shows up against good teams, but Florida State, like, I think they can be good when they want to be good. And I think Florida State is going to end up. I could totally see them winning this game outright.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually surprised they're bringing back Norvell too, but
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm surprised too because all of the other programs in that region of the country have like such high expectations for their coaches. And Mike Norvell, he went from a terrible season to at best an average season, and Florida State's just okay with that.
a great season to a terrible season to it.
Well, that's true. A great season to a terrible season to an average season.
Right.
Um,
And you're
yeah,
gonna look back like that's gonna be like one of the weirder results is Florida State beating Alabama. Like thinking about how weird a result that is now is just it shows you how much stock week one probably should have. But
well, I think similar to, I think that in football, week one in the NFL and college football is like an extension of the preseason in a
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Like if you look at the week one results of NFL season, it's the same thing. It makes no sense at all.
right.
So I think it's the same thing with college football. It's why the committee doesn't put much stock in week one games, but it's like that every year. It's like
Yeah.
every year week one doesn't make sense. I remember a few years ago, Florida beat Utah
Mhm.
in week one. And then if you look at the rest of their season, I think Utah may have I think Utah went on to win the Pac-12 that year. And
Mhm.
Florida season went the way every Florida season goes.
Right.
Uh, and so I think every year is like, but that's why I think the committee likes to take teams when uh, it likes to consider how teams were at the time. And at the time,
Mhm.
Florida State looked pretty good. But,
Right.
I think teams progress and regress all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, my 2 unit play, I'm going with Clemson plus 2.5 at South Carolina. I just think South Carolina are sort of similar to Florida. They just have been a huge disappointment this season, as of Clemson, but I still think Clemson is good at some points of the game. I mean, they've gotten a couple of big wins this season. They've sort of rebounded from where they were at the start of the year. And I just don't think South Carolina is on that level. And um, Dabo, he'll have them up for a rivalry game. I think they'll probably win the game outright, but I'm just going to take them plus 2.5 right now.
Yeah, not to mention Clemson wants revenge from last year.
Right.
And yeah, I think yeah, I do agree with you on I do like that pick. I do like that pick. And a lot of it, well, we'll get into it. All right, so my 2 unit pick, I have USC minus 20.5 against UCLA. I am done with UCLA. UCLA, sorry, now minus 21.5. I'll still take USC. I don't care. I think USC is going to kill them. USC is, I think USC feels like they have a lot to prove. They're still a bubble team, and UCLA, I think they're really just dead in the water at this point. They've been blown out in almost all their past matchups. I'm done. I'm done betting on them. I'm done with UCLA.
Yeah.
And yeah, in their past, in UCLA's uh past so here's UCLA got killed by Washington 48-14. Then they lost, before that they lost to UCLA Ohio State 48-10. And before that they lost to Nebraska at home, which wasn't terrible. And then before that they got blown out by Indiana. The point is UCLA is getting blown out by all the good teams.
Mhm.
And USC coming back home, coming off a loss, I think they're going to kill them.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I disagree with you about saying there is that USC is a bubble team. USC is not making the playoffs.
All right, fair enough, but that's a fair point. But
I agree with that pick.
they're a bubble team in the sense that they're probably not going to make it outside of a miracle from God, but
Right.
they think that they could probably still get in.
Yeah, I agree with that pick. I actually don't love USC UCLA as I would prefer probably Notre Dame USC being the last
Oh,
game.
absolutely. Is USC UCLA, like, it's not even that good of a rivalry because UCLA is usually not a good football team.
Right, and USC is usually not a good basketball team.
Right. So it doesn't even make sense for that to be the rivalry. Yeah, you're right. USC Notre
Well, it
Dame.
makes sense because they're in the same city. But yeah,
Well, Notre Dame plays Stanford rivalry week. I mean, the thing with Notre Dame's rivalries is that I guess it's true about a lot of rivalries, but like their big rivalries outside of the ACC are like Stanford and USC. And the
Right.
problem is that Stanford and USC are never good at the same time. One's always good and the other's always bad. Like,
And
I don't.
I'd also rather have Stanford Cal be the last game. Stanford Cal's a better rivalry than Stanford Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, both teams stink now, but
Yeah, but do you see what like did you watch on Saturday where they just like stare at each other with an axe for 60 minutes? It's the most insane like
yeah, in the ACC, big ACC rivalry.
yeah, huge.
Oh, by the way, I said outside of the ACC. I forgot Stanford's in the ACC, but
Yeah, come on. You forgot
yeah,
that.
but yeah, USC. Well, I'm from years ago, though. I mean, the non-ACC rivalry.
Right on the Atlantic too.
Yeah.
All right, my 3-unit play. I'm going to stick with the traditional conference matchup, traditional Big 12 matchup here. UCF versus BYU. I'm going over 48.5. I think Nick is frozen. Over 48.5. BYU still need the game. They need the game to stay in the playoff. They are second right now. Yeah, if they win, they're into the Big 12 championship, which could propel them to the playoff. I think right now they'd probably be out of the playoff, but they need to win this game still. They will win the game, I think, quite easily, but the fact of the matter is they'll be up for it. It's not a game that they're going to take off or that they're going to take their foot off the pedal here. I think that BYU is going to come out and score and score and score and score. So I'm going to take the over 48.5 UCF and BYU. I mean, this is a big line here. So I think that's conducive to that. They don't think UCF's going to score, but I like UCF to maybe put up some points. I don't think I'll need much because I think BYU will put up a good fight. All right. Well, Nick is offline right now, so I'm just going to give you the rest of my card. The 4-unit play. He's back.
Yeah, my internet. By the way, I don't know. My internet fucking sucks. This is the second time in a row I'm doing a live show and the internet cuts out.
Yeah, I saw that happen.
It happened yesterday during leftovers.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was talking about actually yesterday. I was talking about Cowboy and Raider fans looking AI generated, and that's what it crapped out.
All right, so I gave my 3-point unit play. So what's what is
okay? So my 3-point unit play. I'm sure you figured out I was picking this game. I took Clemson plus 2.5. I think a lot of this has to do with just how Clemson and South Carolina match up. First of all, Clemson almost never loses this game in South Carolina. I mean, part of that is because Clemson's usually a much better team than South Carolina. This is only like these past 2 seasons where they like evenly.
But I agree, they're better. They're actually better on the road in this matchup.
Yeah, they tend to be, but like I said, I think a lot of that's just coincidental because usually they're just a much better team than South Carolina, and now it's like Clemson. I remember I saw this tweet that said, "Wow, Dabo Swinney was right. He did stop coaching with NIL." But it also just I think has to do with the way these teams match up. First of all, South Carolina cannot run the ball effectively at all. Mm-hmm. They are, I think, second to last in the SEC in run offense. Only slightly. The only team behind them is LSU, and also Clemson. They can get to the quarterback. I think that just from the way these teams match up, I think South Carolina is going to have a tough time if you can't establish the run. You can't really effectively run an offense, and I think that's going to hurt South Carolina a lot. And Clemson's not a good team, but a little bit. I think they have much more of an upside than South Carolina does. South Carolina, they're not good. Their offensive line has not been good. They haven't protected the quarterback, and I think Clemson is going to win this game outright. I could see.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. Obviously, I mean, yeah, Clemson's, but the thing is, like when maybe like a little longer than 10 years ago, South Carolina was way better than Clemson. So they fluctuated sort of, but
Well, what has South Carolina been way better than? Oh,
well, they had
you're
like
talking about like
Clowney,
you're talking about
yeah,
like pre Deshaun Watson.
yeah, and then Clemson was better, and then South Carolina's gotten better recently.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I mean, before Deshaun Watson, Clemson was sort of a nothing program at that point.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's true. Like I remember in the then they got good under the Deshaun Watson era,
Right.
um, and now they're back down to earth.
All right, my 4 unit play. Unfortunately, only some of our viewers will be able to bet this, but that's how it goes. Unfortunately, stupid laws. I am taking Rutgers plus 12.5 against Penn State. Uh, Penn State I think, will win this game. So both these teams have to win to get into a bowl. I never thought that we would be sitting here going into rivalry week with Penn State worried about making a bowl. I thought that they would be worried about the Big Ten championship. But I think Rutgers is a team that hangs around. Even against Ohio State, they didn't get like just completely flattened like they have in previous years. And I don't know. I just think Rutgers keeps up here. For some reason this is always the rivalry week game, but I never consider this in any way, shape, or form a rivalry. They're probably like Penn State's like fifth biggest rival. I think you would even consider Michigan State a bigger rival of Penn State than Rutgers. But they always play Michigan State and Rutgers to end the season. But or toward the end of the season because they played Nebraska in
Penn
between.
State's two biggest rivals have to be Ohio State and Michigan.
Correct. Penn State is in a sad spot because Penn State's biggest rivals. Penn State will never be anyone's biggest rival because they'll never be Ohio State's biggest rival. They'll never be Michigan's biggest rival.
Right, and they'll never be Michigan State's biggest rival. Well, you can say the same thing about Michigan State. Michigan State will never be anybody's biggest rival either.
Correct. But I think that Michigan probably dislikes. I would say like Penn State is Ohio State's second biggest rival, but Michigan State it would be Michigan's second biggest rival.
Yeah. Well, I would say Michigan. Right. Penn State is Michigan's third biggest rival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More Michigan fans probably care about beating Michigan State than they do Penn State. If you had just based on rivalries.
All else being equal, yes. All else
correct.
being equal.
Either way, this is supposed to be the rivalry game. Always a lot of Penn State fans there. Also could have to do with the fact that they conveniently always play it on Thanksgiving weekend, and almost every Rutgers student lives like 30 minutes from the campus, so no one's there. But that's fine, dandy. I just think Rutgers is going to hang around. I don't know. I don't think they'll win the game, but I just think Rutgers hangs around. So I'm taking Rutgers plus 12.5.
Yeah, I didn't even think about this. When I was laying out my picks, I didn't even have.
Well, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah, I can't put any real money on it.
You can't play it in New Jersey, so it wouldn't have even showed up on your.
Well, that's not. I could still bet on it. I would just have to go to New York to bet on it.
Right, but I'm saying if you're looking at the apps, it won't even show up because it's
right. No, that's true. Yeah, even on Novig, it wouldn't show up.
Which is just ridiculous law because first of all, whenever I go to Arizona, I can bet on ASU games like in the stadium. So it's ridiculous. Also, I bet on the Knicks and Nets tonight, but I can't bet on St. John's. Just
it doesn't.
The NBA has had more betting scandals than college basketball. So
I know. You could probably rig it. I think a Knick game might be more likely to get rigged than a St. John's game.
Literally, it's insane. It's just stupid laws.
But also, what does the state have to do with it anyway? Like the particular.
Well,
state?
a lot of most people have Illinois. You can't bet in, Illinois and Northwestern games and whatever. Some states have it. I don't know why. Some states don't. It's just.
But if you live in New York, since you live in New York, you can bet on a Rutgers game, but you can't bet on Syracuse,
right? Which doesn't make any sense.
Which makes no sense at all.
I could bet on St. Peter's College, which
right. I was going to say that's a better example. St. Peter's College, a tiny little school that is which is essentially just like a train stop away from like
Right.
Tribeca.
Literally, you can probably see it, but
You
and
could,
yeah, so it doesn't but you can't bet on Buffalo or what. Yeah,
yeah, you can't bet on a Buffalo or Syracuse.
I couldn't bet on Notre Dame this week
Yeah,
because they're playing Syracuse.
yeah, it's super weird. Luckily for me, I'm crossing between New York and New Jersey constantly, so it doesn't matter. But it's
Well,
really stupid.
the funny thing is, it's not really the greatest deterrent all of them because there's been times where St. John's has a big game. I'll go to the path, take the path train, not even get out of the station, just have it register me in New Jersey, and then just bet the game.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
You're
But, yeah, I haven't really been betting college basketball just yet. All right, what are we at 4? All right,
yeah.
my so my 4-unit play, I am taking Texas Tech minus 20 and a
Yep.
half, or at least it was minus 20 and a half when
I think it's a lot. Hold on. I'm gonna check it again, but I think it's different now. But because I saw something else. But yeah, so Texas Tech.
yeah, I like Texas Tech here against West Virginia. I have a personal hatred of West Virginia. I don't know if you know that.
Correct.
Because my car broke down in West Virginia. Um, and what and that's not why I'm taking them, but I'm just
So
saying
it's I don't know if you
is it
it's
now?
23 and a half on Novig now.
Oh, it's that high. I would still take Texas Tech.
All right.
I think they'll win by
Yeah.
more than that.
I was only going to take that too. Texas Tech have to win the game too. They're still not secure in the Big 12 championship yet.
No, they're not. And also, Texas Tech has blown out all the games that Baron Morton has started. Not when Will Hammond. The only game that they lost was against Arizona State in a game with their backup quarterback. Every game that Baron Morton started, Texas Tech has destroyed their competition. They've blown everybody out.
They spent enough money on their team in the offseason to get there anyway. You would hope they'd be that good. Yeah, I agree with that pick too. The only thing that's stupid now, I mean, I just said it, but like if Michigan, like I was watching some Michigan fans, I think it was Portnoy talk about it. Like if Michigan win, they'd rather the other teams around them win because they'd rather not get to the Big 10 championship. That is the one thing that the 12-team playoff has kind of hurt is the conference championship games.
Yeah. Yeah, what you're saying that because if they were to make the Big Ten
Portnoy
championship,
said it. Yeah, if they win against Ohio State, but then they lose a third, to Oregon or wherever it is.
you think they would use that? I will say I will defend the committee for a second. So far it doesn't seem like they've penalized teams for losing.
They didn't penalize SMU last year.
No, they didn't, and SMU was not good enough to be a playoff team.
Right.
But
yeah, no, I agree. All right, my 5-unit play. I am going with Ole Miss in the first quarter, laying 2.5. Ole Miss going to Mississippi State. The old Egg Bowl. That is going to be a great game, but I think Ole Miss, they have to win essentially. A loss to Mississippi State would be a killer. They are going to win. I'm just a little scared of backdoors here with Mississippi State because Mississippi State does hang around with teams. So I'm a little nervous about that, but I think Ole Miss is going to come out strong. Probably, I would say probably the last game or the last regular season game that Lane Kiffin coaches for Ole Miss. I guess I don't know.
You think
I think the timing of the announcement is more conducive that he'll stay. But I'm taking Ole Miss to lay 2.5 in the first quarter. I think they're going to come out strong in Starkville.
Yeah, my only concern with that pick is sometimes Ole Miss, like they start off slow, like they did against Florida.
Yeah, I think a rivalry game is different though.
Yeah, I think that's true. A rivalry game is a little different. I mean, look, Ole Miss is a much better team than Mississippi State, but Mississippi State does hang around.
That's why I'm scared of playing the full numbers. Because it hangs around.
And they didn't hang around against Georgia, but I think Georgia's really just accelerating a lot right now.
They are, yeah.
I really think they're just that good this year. I mean, I think Georgia now is looking a little bit more like the Georgia from a few years ago than the Georgia from last year. So I think that might say more about Georgia. And the issue with Ole Miss, I think, ultimately is their defense.
Yeah.
Their defense is a little sus. And also Yeah, the Lane Kiffin. This is the most Lane Kiffin thing. Like, is there
Yeah.
any head coach in college football history involved in more drama than Lane
Right.
Kiffin?
Yeah. No.
Like, he just loves being the center of attention. Uh, yeah, and yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting. What are we at? The 5-unit pick. All right, my 5-unit pick. I am taking the Oregon, Washington over 52 and a half. I want to make sure it hasn't changed since I last took it because these lines are changing a lot. 51 and a half, even better. All right. Oregon, Washington, 51 and a half. I didn't pick the spread because it's a little. Oregon, on one hand, is very desperate, and they do often cover in these games, but Washington's a really good team at home, and that just I didn't want to take either side, but I like the over here. Both these teams score a lot. They're both some of the better offenses in the Big Ten. I think these games, it's going to be a classic Pac-12 game. I think. I know they're Big Ten teams now, but it's going to be a Pac-12 game. So I like the over here.
All right, let's go to the league where they play for pay. I'm going to start on Thanksgiving. This game, I think, is going to break records for viewership of regular season viewership. Cowboys, I'm going Cowboys plus 3.5 against the Chiefs. Like we talked about earlier in the recap, I think the Cowboys are actually decent. They've gotten better since Quinnen Williams has gone on there. The problem for the Cowboys is I've been on a lot of Playoff Machine on ESPN. The Cowboys essentially have to win out, and they still might need some help. The killer for the Cowboys is that they have a tie, which is just terrible for tiebreakers. So the Cowboys are essentially playing every single game as if it's a playoff game. I think the Chiefs are just I just think they're not that good this year. I think they could win this game, but I like the hook there. I think it's going to be close. Thanksgiving Day, Mahomes in. I think there'll be a lot of points put up, but I love this game, just this matchup. But I'm going to take the Cowboys getting 3.5.
So you've changed your mind about the Chiefs? You don't think they're going to repeat a Super Bowl?
I don't know yet. I wouldn't bet against them, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
They might even win this game, but like I had them as my lock. It pushed -3. Like I could see a game like that where they win on a field goal.
Yeah, I could too. Although I think that the Colts are a tougher team to play than the Cowboys.
I'll say I don't think that the Chiefs are as good, but I think the game against Indianapolis confirmed why I think it's still possible they could win the Super Bowl because they just have the experience in these games.
That's the thing. And also, it's like you could say that about every outside. The only team that I feel like looks flawless right now is the Rams. But outside of that, you look at the Eagles, the Lions, the Bills, and you look at all these teams, and you
especially
have
in the AFC.
Yeah, yeah. And you have really good reason to believe that they're not good enough to win a Super Bowl. I mean, the Bills have some really flabbergasting losses. I mean, they lost to the Falcons, they lost to the Texans, and some of their losses make no sense.
Yeah, and if we fast forward to AFC Championship game or AFC divisional game, Chiefs at Patriots, I don't know. I would feel more confident in the Chiefs than I would the Patriots.
Yeah, because the Chiefs actually have much more experience. They have more experience, and that's often how these sort of dynasty teams are. Like sometimes these dynasty teams are 500 at Thanksgiving, and we've seen it a bunch of times. So it's not that crazy to me that they could still end up winning a Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, when Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl against the Chiefs in 2020, they were 7-5 at this juncture, but they had Brady, they had Gronkowski, and you go on and win it. So yeah, I'm still think the Chiefs have a chance.
Yeah, and it's not just that; it's also a lot of teams that didn't win but could have won that were in a similar position. All right, so my 1-unit pick, I am taking the Giants plus 7.5 against the Patriots. I really do think the Patriots win this game outright, but the Giants have been playing well. Every single game has been close. I could see this going similar to how it went against the Lions. Like the Giants have a chance to win, but they blow it with bad play calling.
Yeah. Also, the Patriots schedule is just a complete joke. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's one of the most ridiculous schedules I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
Um,
and the Giants' schedule, I mean, the Giants' schedule has been a gauntlet.
it's the fifth toughest in the history of the NFL in terms of win percentage of opponents. It's
And
insane.
the Chiefs' schedule, I think it's the toughest in like 5 years or something like
Yeah,
that.
well, the Chiefs are just the opposite of what they were last year. The Chiefs were undefeated in one score games last year. This year, this is the first one score game they won.
Yeah, but last year, the Chiefs' schedule at this point in the season was a joke.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I don't think they're that much worse this year than they were last year, if at all.
right. All right. My well, their offensive line is atrocious. All right, my 2 point play. I'm going with the Lions laying 2.5 against the Packers. The Lions didn't show me much, barely beating the Giants, but frankly, the Packers didn't show me much, barely beating the Giants. I think the Vikings are just a terrible team. I don't put much stock in that. The last 3 weeks before this game, the Packers lost to the Panthers, lost to the Eagles, putting up only 7 points, and should have probably lost to the Giants. I would, gun to my head, take the Lions to win this division, which every team is jumbled at the top. The Packers are another team that the tie could hurt them badly. Um, and I just think the Lions are going to come out and win this one. I think that they were sort of in a look ahead spot Thanksgiving against the Packers last week on Sunday against the Giants. So I don't put a ton of stock into that. I just don't know if the offense of the Packers is going to be able to keep up with Gibbs and the offense of the Lions. So I'm going to take the Lions laying 2.5.
Yeah, I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. And I don't know. The Packers are a little bit of I guess you could say it about both teams, but the Packers are a little bit of a funny team.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem with I mean, certainly the biggest problem with the Packers last year is that they struggled a lot in their division. My 2 unit play, I am taking the Chargers Raiders under 40.5. I just think this game, the Raiders just fired Chip Kelly. I think their offense has just been a disaster. Geno Smith is looking like the Jets' Geno Smith. The Chargers have a really good defense, but of course their offensive line is very banged up. I just think this game there's not going to be a whole lot of scoring in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I actually saw something, a post this week that I think is actually not a bad idea, that the Chargers and Raiders should switch. I think that's actually not a bad idea.
What do you mean they should switch?
The Raiders should play in LA and the Chargers should be in Vegas. I think that's actually not a terrible idea. The Raiders are still the biggest team in LA.
It's true. That's actually a good point. Like, I wonder how popular the Raiders even are in Vegas.
Yeah, and both the Chargers and the Rams too, to an extent, although the Rams are bigger than the Chargers in LA, but both the Chargers and Raiders, whenever they play a home game, it's essentially a road game. It's just like it's
Yeah.
just crazy the amount of fans. All right, my 3 unit play, sticking with Thanksgiving. This is the best Thanksgiving card we've seen, by the way. In a long time. I'm going with the Bengals team total over 21.5. It looks like Joe Burrow is going to play. I mean, I don't know how much of a difference there will be between Flacco and an injured Joe Burrow, but still, I just don't love the Ravens defense at all. And I think the Bengals will be able to put up some points. They've been able to put up points even with Flacco. Their problem is not their defense in any way, shape, or form. So I like the team
I mean,
total.
their offense.
Their offense, yeah, sorry. Their offense is not their problem in any way, shape, or form. So I like the team total over 21.5.
I like that pick a lot. I like that pick a lot. So my 3 unit. So for my 3 unit play, I am taking the Bills minus 3.5 against the Steelers. Maybe I believe in the Bills a little too much, but I think the Bills coming off a little extra rest, I think they're going to end up beating the Steelers. I don't know how I feel about the Steelers. Is Aaron Rodgers expected to play that game?
Probably not.
So I don't even. So if Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play, or even if he does and he's injured, I think the Bills. I think the Bills should be able to cover this number. I think the Bills tend to be very up and down. I think they were a little down against Houston. I think that Houston also has a very good defense, and the Bills' offensive line has not been great. I think the Bills end up winning. If the Bills set the tone of this game, make it a high-scoring game, the Bills win this game because the Bills are great at winning shootouts.
Yeah, yeah. I actually kind of tend to agree with the guys on part of my take that I don't think there's a giant difference between current Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph. But yeah, and I mean they did put up 28
Yeah.
points the other day,
I would
but
still probably take current Aaron Rodgers, but
probably yeah. All right, my 4 unit play. I mean, this is just an insulting over under. I understand why it is, but it's just an insulting over under for an NFL football game. So I have to take it. I'm going 49ers Browns over 39 and a half. I know that neither of these teams have, especially the Browns, have the greatest offenses, but maybe they get a pickup with Shador. They did score 24 on Sunday. By the way, did you see that the over was like 35, and it was 24-10,
yeah.
and the Raiders punted in positive territory. Just
Yeah.
um, and anyway, but I'm going to take it. I think that the 49ers and Browns will be able to put up enough to get this insanely low over under. So give me the over 39 and a half.
Yeah, I do like that pick actually. I love how I guarantee you it's going to be the all the narrative is going to be about Shador Sanders.
Yes, correct.
So what is it? The 4 unit play?
Yeah.
I am taking the Bengals plus 6.5. I know Joe Burrow is expected to play. Like I said, I don't know how much the injury is going to affect him. The Bengals always play the Ravens stuff. The Bengals missed the playoffs last year, almost beat the Ravens twice. The Ravens, they don't really. I don't know how to feel about them right now. I mean, Lamar Jackson is not totally healthy. Their defense is not good. The Jets had a chance to beat them in their own stadium if not for Brees Hall fumbling right at the goal line. They would have had a
Mhm.
shot to beat them. I don't think the Ravens look all that good right now.
Yeah. Agreed.
Uh, they really don't. And I think it's a rivalry game. I think the Bengals play. It's a rivalry game. I think the Bengals play them tough. I really like the Bengals here.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that too. I was thinking of that as well. I took the team total over, obviously, but yeah. All right, my 5 unit play. I'm going with Eagles first half minus 3.5. I think that this is a game the Eagles are going to win, possibly quite easily. They are going to be completely woken up from what happened on Sunday. The Bears are another team like the Patriots that have just played a complete and utter joke of a schedule. I'm not high on the Bears at all. If you look at the Bears schedule coming up, I think it's possible that they could even miss the playoffs. Um,
That's what I was saying.
yeah,
That's what I
uh,
was saying on the show.
yeah. I think the worst case scenario for the Bears in this game was the Eagles losing to the Cowboys the way they did. I think the Eagles will be up for it at home. Black Friday. This is a game where like if the Eagles go 3-and-out on the first drive, they'll get booed. So the Eagles are going to be up for it. I think like I said, the Bears are in that same realm of the Patriots that they just haven't played nobody, and it's time now to play somebody. And I think the Eagles kill them, but I'm just going to lay the first half number because it just seems easy to me. 3.5.
Yeah, the rest of their schedule is a gauntlet. In fact, all the teams that they beat do other than the Steelers, none of them even have winning records. Uh
This
they're-
is the first team they beat with a winning record,
yeah, and
and it's the Steelers.
yeah, the Steelers, like they're with Mason Rudolph instead of
Correct.
Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
Right.
if Mason Rudolph played the whole year, they probably wouldn't even have a winning record. I think that this game for the Bears is not even just so much about if they win or lose. A lot of it is just about how competitive they are. Like if they
Mhm.
come close to beating the Eagles, it's like, all right, I can take them a little more seriously. But if you look at their remaining schedule, they have to play the Eagles, the Packers, the Browns,
Twice. Yeah.
but they have to play the Eagles, the Packers twice, the Lions, and the 49ers, all in
Yeah.
5 of their next 6
Brutal.
games. They
Brutal.
could lose all. They might only win one more game for the rest of the
And the
season.
Browns on you, and the Browns with the Browns defense, they're not a cakewalk either.
No.
So,
I mean, like the Bears have been close. We're winning close games against teams very comparable to the Browns. So they could end
right.
up. It wouldn't really shock me if the Bears end up going 9-8, and that's not going to be good enough to make the playoffs in the
No, not
NFC.
in the NFC. No, no,
Um,
no. Agreed.
and like I get that the Bears are 8-3, but it doesn't feel like it at all. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't feel like it at all. All right, so what are we on our 4 unit?
Five.
5 unit. Sorry. I like the Lions minus 2.5 against Green Bay. I just trust Detroit a lot more than Green Bay. I think Green Bay is I don't know. Green Bay is a little bit of a funky team. They're a weird team, and they have a lot of ups and downs. Their offense has not looked great lately. I really just like the Lions here. I think that at their best, the the Lions are. I think the Lions have a lot more potential than the Packers.
Mm.
I think the Lions are. They look a little bit similar, or at least earlier this year, they were looking similar to how they looked last year. I think the Lions show up for this game. 2.5 points, essentially a pick 'em at home.
Yeah. And every team goes on a lull too at some point in the season, so I'm not that deterred by how the Lions have played recently. I have that too. I completely agree with you. All right, let's go to the money line winners of the week. My money line winner is going to be in college. I love the value of this pick. In the words of James Brown when he interviewed Michael Vick, what about the dogs? Specifically, the Husky dogs. I'm taking the Washington Huskies plus 250 to beat Oregon. I said there's going to be some shakeups in the college football playoff. This is what I think is possible. I think Washington can win this game. It's in Washington, rivalry game in Seattle, tough place to play. Really tough place to play. I think Washington could do this. I love the value. Give me the Huskies.
I actually kind of like that pick. I think I really kind of like that pick.
I don't think they should be plus 250. That's a high number.
This is a game that Washington would win. It's a game that they would show up for. And Washington, it's underrated how tough of a place to play Washington is.
They had like a 40-game home win streak or something like that recently.
Yeah, and then Ohio State ended up beating them.
But I mean, that's to get beat by Ohio State. It just feels like it's one of those where Oregon's played sort of a gauntlet schedule, and it just feels like I know they lost to Indiana, but at some point they might drop one of them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And now that would be an interesting thing for the playoff. Although since they beat USC, it's not. Yes. It might not even matter that much.
Yeah, and it could be one of those. It could be one of those where they go with future face of the New York Jet franchise, Dante Moore at quarterback. But they. I mean, I could see them winning it, but I just could see Washington winning it. I mean, Washington are sort of gone under the radar too. They're not that bad of a team.
They're pretty good. No, they're not. They're not that bad of a team. They're just not a good road team. That's the problem. They don't travel well. So my money line pick of the week, I think you can probably predict where I'm going with this. I am taking Pitt plus 223 against Miami.
Love it.
I don't have a lot of faith in Miami. I am never trusting a Mario Cristobal Miami team ever again. This is a classic game that Miami loses late in the season against a team like Pitt, who is good, not great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to knock them out of the playoffs. I think Pitt wins this. And also, Pitt's going to show up to play because it's an ACC.
They have to win. Yeah, and they have to. Yeah, like Pat Narduzzi said, they actually have to win. And this is as close. This is actually as close of a playoff game that you can get in the regular season.
Yeah,
the losers out, the winners in. It's that the weather in Pittsburgh. I hate everything about it for Miami.
Yeah,
I hate everything about it. And what was that like? 10? Was that 10 years ago? 9 years ago when they lost, when they were undefeated and lost in Pittsburgh the last week. You remember that game? That was another. I just have that game stuck in my memory for Miami Pitt.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think that was 9 years ago.
Yeah. So yes, you'll be thinking about olives a lot on Saturday. Inside right there. But all right, let's go to the locks of the week. Let's start in college. You're gonna absolutely hate this pick.
Okay.
Hook 'em, baby.
No.
Plus 2.5 against Texas A&M. My lock of the week this week, Texas A&M, I think has to fall at some point. The fact they're not playing this game on Thanksgiving, this used to be always on Thanksgiving, is a joke, but whatever. I like Texas. I'm taking them on the spread. I think they're going to win the game outright. What happens then? I think they're in, right? If they win,
That's a good question.
I love them.
I think they should be.
I love them here. I love them in the spot. Again, I think A&M is going to fall at some point. They're another team that's had a bit of a tough schedule, and I think one of them they're not going to win all of them, in my opinion.
You think A&M's had a tough schedule?
Yeah, I mean tougher than most, but just because they play in the SEC.
I would say as an SEC, they don't have a tough schedule by SEC standards.
Well, but they played Notre Dame in the non-conference.
That's
but
true.
They've had it for SEC, but I just like Texas. I think Texas is under the radar of people. I think most of the public is just written off Texas out of the playoff, but that's not true. If Texas wins, they're in.
I agree. I think people have written off Texas, and I also think a lot of their struggling is a little bit of an illusion because they just weren't playing home games. But overall, I don't think Texas's resume is that good. I mean, they also were struggling against pretty bad SEC teams. I would put if Texas loses this game, I would put USC in before I put Texas. Although I think neither team is going to make it. All right, so my lock of the week. You're going to hate this pick. Texas A&M -2.5.
Oh, let's go. No, I knew you were going to.
We have opposing locks of the week. I think
correct.
This might be the first time that ever happened.
Yes, correct.
I love
that.
Now, I think Texas first half might not be a bad bet, but I just think if you're talking about 4 quarters, 60 minutes of football, the biggest problem with Texas is that they don't play a full game start to finish. That's I think their biggest problem. It's either the first half where they're not looking good or it's late in the game. Something goes on with Texas, even against Vanderbilt where they won by a lot. I mean, they let Vanderbilt back into that game. The problem with Texas, they don't play a full 60 minutes of football. Maybe a Texas first half bet I would consider, but I think Texas A&M is just too talented. Texas does have a good defense. I'll give them that. But Texas A&M does have one of the best offenses in the country. And on top of that, Texas A&M has a very, very good situational defense. Texas's offense has struggled to protect Arch. And Texas A&M, they have one of the best third down defenses in college football. I could see Texas being in this game for some of it, but they don't play a full game. That's their biggest problem. They can't close out games. They don't start off. They don't get off to a good start. I really love A&M here.
Perfect. That's perfect. So that will open the show next week.
We need to clip that.
Yes.
I don't know if we can clip these things, but we need to clip that.
Yes. Well, we can clip it from the YouTube. All right. Let's go to the NFL locks of the week. So this one is low because this team just lost. You just clipped it for us. Thank you. This team just lost their quarterback, it looks like, on a very stupid play. I am taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -2.5 versus the Cardinals. So I don't know if you saw it, what happened, but it was 31-7 with 5 seconds left in the second half. It was 4th and 30, essentially, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at their own 26, and they attempted a Hail Mary. Baker Mayfield threw his shoulder out. So I don't think he played. I think it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater. But the fact of the matter is, I just think I've watched unfortunately, I've seen a lot of Arizona Cardinals this year. They're a horrible team. They make every single mistake that you could possibly make. Like you were saying with doing the Chase Claypool moment that they had.
Yeah. How was nobody talking about that with Wilson? He was not only did he spin the ball, he spun it badly and the ball bounced away from him. What the fuck? That could have cost him a possession.
Yeah, they make every single mistake. And think about this. The Cardinals fumbling, the guy throwing the ball through the end zone, and then the Cardinals fumbling an interception for a touchdown is probably going to be the only way that the Tennessee Titans don't be the first team to ever finish 0-17. That's going to be the one tight win. So I don't care about really Bridgewater versus Mayfield as much in this game. I just think the Cardinals are terrible. They're going to the Eastern time zone. The Buccaneers, regardless of quarterback, need to win. They're laying less than a field goal. The Cardinals are just terrible. They make every single mistake you can make. I've only bet them once this year in the Eastern time zone, and they covered, but they were 8-point underdogs to the Colts. That's a low number for me. I'm going to take the Bucs, my lock of the week.
Yeah, I like that pick. Also worth noting, in that game when Amari DiMercato dropped the ball before the goal line, I called it before that play even happened that the Titans were going to get back into the game.
I think you had the Titans either on this show or on another show.
On both shows, I had it on my Pick'em show. On this show, I had them on. I had them on Forecast, and I had them in both my Pick'em leagues. So I actually, I won that bet pretty. That was a pretty good pick by me.
That's gonna be the only way. That's the only game really the Titans have even been in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're so bad. So for my lock of the week, I am taking the Bengals Ravens over 51.5. This is going to be like the Bengals Ravens games are a little bit like Pac-12 or Big 12 games in college in NFL terms. I just these games are always shootouts. They're always high scoring. Joe Burrow is back. I really like the over here.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that too. I took the team total there. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy rest of Feast Week, and we will see you next Monday.
See you then.